I think every woman should learn how to fight, because it opens you up to a whole new world of competence, of personal safety, of community, and of fun. I think there's nothing better to beat a baddie who knows how to throw up. I mean, there's nothing like it. All right, so this is a post-workout production, and I wanted to do this video after my workout because I think there's nothing better to talk about why every woman should learn to fight after hitting the heavy bag, doing a workout, and really feeling the energy of its importance. So the reason why every woman needs to fight came to me before I started learning martial arts. I read this book called Women Who Run with the Wolves by Clarissa Pinkola Estes. And it's a classic, highly recommend to any woman to read, because it really breaks down the idea of every woman, honestly every person, but particularly every woman having an inner criatura or creature, predator inside them. And a lot of times in society, you've seen how the world is, full of chaos and crime. There's also great things, but there is a lot of bad. And I think what tends to happen is that there is a lot of conditioning and a lot of societal policy that diminishes a woman's natural wild gifts, as she denotes them. Our intuition, our sort of sense of danger, our inner kind of dangerous being ourselves, and just a natural wild understanding of the world that all kind of animals tend to have. And, civilization obviously is great. We have iPhones and cars and, Gatorades and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, we are also primal beings. Though many things in the world are wonderful and kind and benevolent, there are also many dangers in life. When you read the book, it almost feels like a sort of opening, if it's the right time for you to read the book, because I feel like nowadays, at least for me, sometimes your spirit isn't ready to consume certain forms of media. Like sometimes a movie just doesn't hit for you, and then a couple years, months later, for whatever reason, you go into that same book, show, whatever, and you just devour it because it's just that time for you to hear the lesson. Just like if your parents were telling you one thing when you're a kid, and all of a sudden your teacher told you the same thing 5 years later, and you're doing it as easy as 1, 2, 3, and your parents are like, I've been telling you that for so many years. I think that's what sort of the different lessons that are ready for us, they come in their own time. So when I read that book, it just felt like the right time to read it. I was just devouring the book, and the idea of these different aspects of womanhood, of sort of ancient primal womanhood that is a bit forgotten, repressed, dismissed. And it is really necessary, I think, to be a full, happy, healthy, safe woman growing up in this world. And I think that one thing that used to kind of irritate me was, I think there was always this, like, what is the point kind of mentality. Like, oh, predators, particularly maybe if they're more male predators, or the sort of bullies that you'll see in life are always going to be bigger and more dangerous, whether they be bigger entities, or they be bigger people, or they have more power in our lives. So what's the point of fighting? But I think oftentimes, like they say in self-defense, the point of self-defense isn't for you to stand and brawl for 10 rounds, but for you to just be able to be prepared in an instant of danger and get out. And for me, I think martial arts, there's two journeys that you can take at the same time. I think the first one is the one that everyone understands, which is learning the physical act of fighting, whether it be boxing or Muay Thai, or judo or karate or just Krav Maga. But I think there's also a second journey that you take, which is sort of the spiritual and emotional development you have when you learn how to be your own warrior, your own soldier, your own defense in this world. And so, for me, the importance of learning to fight was really also, I wanted to be able to be convicted of what I believed in. And I think that in this world where there's so much pushback to being firm and really standing on your principles and values, I think it's very important to sort of prepare for the worst likely outcome. Because I think that there is that primal fear that can occur sometimes, that if you stand up for what you believe in, you can be punished for it. And obviously there's an ebb and flow when you're working in tandem within work or with other people, where it's not like you're always going to get your way. But I think when people try to press their will upon you, it's important as a person, as a woman, to be able to defend yourself and stand up for what you believe in. And I think it's also an element of surprise. I think because so many people don't expect women and kids and even older folks to be able to defend themselves against danger, which is why we have so many societal ways to protect these vulnerable communities, that when you're in a situation and you can just pop somebody and they're not expecting, the element of surprise is also a weapon as well. And so learning to fight is I think necessary. It's honestly should be as taught as learning to brush your teeth or learning to sort of make your own meal, because every creature knows how to defend themselves. It was actually very interesting. I was actually on the treadmill today, and it was the oddest thing. I'm just looking, and I noticed this dragonfly that just flew into what was a web, and I didn't realize it was there. And it got stuck, and I could see its body buzzing and moving and pulling. And the spider moved quick as a flash, and just grabbed it and gobbled it all up. It was just devouring it. And it was almost traumatic to watch in a way, because I was like, wow. It reminded me of, I don't know if you watch anime called Attack on Titan, where Mikasa is talking about sort of the aspect of nature being somewhat dangerous, and the idea that it's the strong that will survive. While I don't really take that pessimistic view, because I do believe that there's more than one way to be strong, and it isn't just about brawn or just being physically capable. I do believe that being physically capable gives you a foundation of confidence and competence within yourself. I think there's just a difference of knowing that your body instinctively knows how to protect yourself, because we're not really taught that in traditional education systems and whatnot. And so the one thing I noticed with myself when I first learned martial arts was that you also have to face a lot of emotions in yourself that I think are also societally dismissed, such as anger, such as fear, really facing what kind of person you are under pressure, especially when you're sparring with people who may be bigger than you, more experienced than you, who also may have a little bit of more ego than you and take pleasure out of kind of beating you up. But there's also a lot of camaraderie. And I think that when you learn martial arts, it's kind of the oddest thing how you learn sort of community values and sort of these honorable values of strength and determination and resilience and bravery in violence. Because I think in some ways, this sounds so weird, but I think violence as a whole kind of gets a bad rap. And I think that by a lot of media kind of putting a lot of violence and a lot of the capability to be violent in the hands of enemies and bullies and bad guys, we sort of don't see how, you know, it's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. And that's actually another video I'm going to make next, because I think there's also two phases of that, where you become the warrior in the garden, but eventually for the sake of longevity and sustainability, you have to be the gardener in a war. You have to be able to cultivate growth and sustainability and nurture things even in the midst of chaos. But for the sake of this video, let me be succinct, right? Learning how to fight gives you, like I said, a base of competence. It also gives you trust in yourself, that, you know, you can even dress how you want to dress. One thing I notice about a lot of fighters is I think the more competent they get in fighting, the more free they feel to express themselves. I've noticed that I've seen a lot of fighters, particularly male fighters, I think they become more expressive, maybe as part of the game because of marketing, but they become more free, more flow. They're able to be goofy and silly more because they know that it doesn't mean that they can't protect themselves. So I think also in learning how to defend yourself, you also allow yourself to be more free, because if someone tries to diminish you or step on you or harm you because you're being yourself, you know that you have what it takes to defend yourself in the worst case scenario. I also think it helps you build community. When you're working along on other people and you're doing this, I think one of the most difficult things besides mastering your own mind is mastering your own body. I think a lot of people tend to do it first with the gym. That's what I did. And I think it is very essential. But I think after it comes to a point that you build the base of your body, you then have to learn how to use it. And for me, it was always important to learn how to train my body into becoming a weapon. Not because I wanted to harm people, but rather the opposite. I wanted to know that I could defend myself and defend my loved ones if the worst case scenario was I had no way out. And I think it also teaches you about the world. You know, this is more about the practical application of why every woman should learn to fight. But I think it also hones your intuition. It also hones your connection to your body. I think a lot of times nowadays, because we spend so much time on social media, on our phones, sitting down in an office, that we're not as naturally connected as to our bodies as we used to before. And you can do this in multiple ways. Some people do it with dance, they do it with rock climbing, they do it with yoga. But I think there's something so, even when you're just doing your katas and you're just practicing drills, there's something so kinesthetically graceful about every part of your body sort of being chained together for a movement that you don't even have to think. I think that's also another thing as well. The soma, or the body, right, is a super intelligent supercomputer. And I think that oftentimes our conscious mind, which is about 10% of our total awareness, the other 90% is your subconscious mind, which I believe a lot of it rests in your body. So your heart, your gut, just the body as a whole, as a receptor, your hands, your feet. By being able to sort of shut off your conscious mind because you've drilled so much that your body can do it automatically, it really allows you to tap into another level of intelligence that I think we kind of lose once we get past the age of like 12, 13, 14, and we stop doing things like recess and playing and climbing. I think as babies, we naturally have these things in our body. The ability to move and squat and jump and kind of naturally do these movements. Even if you watch street fighting, we kind of have this natural instinct, even if it's not proper form, to kind of have a more like even a traditional style of long guard and sort of shoulders up. Our body knows what to do. But I think that when you learn to fight as a woman, I think it even allows you to rest in your femininity even more so. It allows you to feel more comfortable in your body. It allows you to wear what you want to wear. You don't feel like you have to rely on so many people to protect yourself. And I think it also builds a culture of balance within you. I think it allows you to open up your mind to what you're capable of, because you know that you can look a certain way and still fight. It doesn't mean that because you are a certain way, you can't do a certain thing. And I think it also it's a very fun activity. I think just past the practical need for learning how to fight, it's just a lifelong practice. Like, you can really never stop learning about martial arts, because even if you think you know it, there's always something more to learn, whether it be different martial arts or, your own personal style within one martial art, or just your understanding of how the world connects to martial arts. With martial arts, I've learned so much about how to learn. I've learned so much about how I learn, how to sort of understand and learn from different teachers and different cultures, how to work with people from all backgrounds, people who they're high-level directors in their companies, or they work security at the local bodega. Like, there's no sort of class difference when you're learning to fight. It's really all about the body. And because we all have the same, really for the most part, the same types of bodies, it really is an equal playing field of learning how to adapt martial arts to who you are as a person. So I think every woman should learn how to fight, because it just opens you up to a whole new world of competence, of personal safety, of community, and of fun. I think there's nothing better to beat a baddie who knows how to throw there's nothing like it. And you could be a handsome fella and do the same, of course. But I think it's so fun when it's unexpected, that it's just fun. So highly recommend that if you are ever curious about it, obviously you got to vet your gym, make sure that you feel safe, make sure that you feel heard, appreciated, make sure that you don't feel uncomfortable. I think learning how to fight, learning how to train in a martial art teaches you about so many things. It really is almost like going back to school again, but just for your body, whether it be stretching or active drills or sparring, or your emotional intelligence, your emotional resilience, your kinesthetic awareness of people. And it's just cool. It's a great conversation starter too. When you're working the heavy bag, a lot of people will come up to you being like, yo, your kicks look nice, or what are you doing here? Or, oh, you train this? I used to train BJJ. What are you doing? Like, are you preparing for a fight? I think it just bridges you into a world of awareness that is very underrated and very needed. I think that every woman, and you can start very, very young, and you can be very, very old and really learn how to do a martial art, because I think that, if everybody learns to take care of themselves and take care of the people around them, then everyone is taken care of. And I think, in my last video, I talked about the idea of building the inner community of yourself. And I think martial arts is a very key core of it. Whether it be first physical health, whether it be walking or yoga, or just eating well, sleeping well. But I think the next step is learning, just even if it's 3 to 6 months. I've seen a lot of people who just come in, get a year, and that's enough. It really is enough for a lifetime. You don't need more than probably 6 to 12 months of training to get the basics that in a worst case scenario, you have your back. So obviously, if you want to take it the distance, it has it there for you as well. Some people are still in their 60s, 70s, and still even fighting, which is crazy. The Thai men are fucking dangerous. So, highly recommend, if you're ever thinking about it, go to your local boxing gym, Muay Thai gym, even Taekwondo gym, Krav Maga, and just get the basics down. Because I think that it builds such a level. You don't even realize how much you needed it until you train in it. And sometimes you forget that you have it. But when a situation ever comes up where you're just like, you show it off, or your friends are like, yo, can you show me the move? And you realize, whoa, You know, even that's cool too. Sorry, I'm rambling, so I'll end it here. But even that's cool too, when you realize how much you've trained your body, that when you throw something fast, because you kind of forget that the average person hasn't trained that way, you realize, whoa, my jab is actually kind of fast compared to a regular civilian. So I think it's just a small way of becoming your own superwoman. And it really adds to the mosaic that is your life. So every woman should learn how to fight. Peace.